It was just another ordinary Tuesday afternoon when David rushed through the busy streets downtown. He had just finished a meeting with a client about a new software project. Being a computer programmer who mostly worked from home, David rarely found himself in crowded places like this. The noise and chaos of the city always made him feel uncomfortable. As he walked quickly toward the parking garage, something caught his eye. A small girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, was sitting alone on a wooden bench outside the big shopping mall. She was crying softly, her tiny shoulders shaking. David's first thought was to keep walking. After all, her parents were probably nearby, right? But something made him stop. The little girl looked so scared and lost. She kept looking around frantically, calling out "Mommy" in a voice that broke his heart. David had always been the type of person who minded his own business. He preferred staying in his quiet apartment, working on his computer, avoiding drama. But seeing this child in distress stirred something deep inside him. He approached slowly, not wanting to frighten her more. "Hey there," he said gently, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay? Where's your mom?" The little girl looked up at him with big, tearful eyes. "I can't find her," she whispered. "We were shopping in there. Was a man playing music with a guitar. I stopped to listen, and when I looked back, Mommy was gone." David felt his heart sink. This poor child was completely alone in a busy area full of strangers. He looked around, hoping to see a worried woman searching for her daughter, but there was no one. "What's your name, sweetheart?" David asked, sitting down beside her on the bench. "Lily," she said between sniffles. "My mommy's name is Amy. She has long black hair, and she was wearing a blue shirt today." David pulled out his phone and showed Lily how to use it. "We're going to find your mom, okay? Don't worry." He could see the fear in her eyes slowly being replaced by a tiny bit of hope. First, David tried calling the mall security. He explained the situation, and they assured him they would make an announcement over the speaker system. While they waited, David bought Lily a juice box and some crackers from a nearby store. She was clearly hungry and thirsty. "Are you scared?" Lily asked him as they sat together. "A little bit," David admitted, "but we're going to figure this out together. Your mom is probably looking for you right now, too." As the minutes turned into an hour, David started to worry more. Where could her mother be? Had something happened to her? He decided they needed to be more active in their search. He took Lily's hand and they walked through the mall, stopping at every store to ask if anyone had seen a woman in a blue shirt looking for her daughter. Store after store, the answer was the same. No one had seen her mother. David tried to stay calm for Lily's sake, but inside he was getting really concerned. What if they never found her mom? What would happen to this sweet little girl? "Mr. David," Lily said, tugging on his sleeve, "I'm getting really scared. What if my mommy left without me?" David knelt down and looked into her eyes. "Listen to me, Lily. Moms never leave their children on purpose. Your mom loves you more than anything in the world. She's probably just as scared as you are right now, looking everywhere for you. We just need to keep trying." They went to the mall's information desk where a kind lady named Mrs. Johnson helped them review the security camera footage. David held Lily close as they watched the screens, looking for any sign of her mother. Finally, after what felt like forever, they spotted her on one of the cameras. "There she is," Lily shouted, pointing at the screen. Her mother was indeed wearing a blue shirt and had long black hair, just as Lily had described, but she was 3 blocks away at a different shopping center, frantically talking to police officers. Mrs. Johnson immediately called the police station, and within minutes, they had contacted Amy. The relief in her voice over the phone was obvious to everyone in the room. She had been searching for over 2 hours and was absolutely beside herself with worry. 20 minutes later, David saw a woman running toward them through the mall entrance. Her face was red from crying and she looked exhausted. The moment Lily saw her, she broke free from David's hand and ran as fast as her little legs could carry her. "Mommy," Lily cried as she jumped into her mother's arms. Amy held her daughter tight, tears streaming down her face. "Oh, my baby, I was so scared. I thought I lost you forever." She looked up at David with grateful eyes. "Thank you so much for taking care of her. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been there." David felt a warmth in his chest that he had never experienced before. Seeing this mother and daughter reunited made all the stress and worry of the past few hours worth it. "Anyone would have done the same thing," he said modestly, but Amy shook her head. "No, not everyone would have spent their entire afternoon helping a stranger's child. You're a special person." She was so emotional and overwhelmed that she could barely speak. After exchanging a few more words of gratitude, she took Lily's hand and they walked away into the crowd. As David drove home that evening, he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He had always lived a quiet, predictable life. He went to work, came home, watched TV, and went to bed. But today had been different. Today he had actually made a real difference in someone's life, for the first time in years. David felt like he had done something truly meaningful. He had no idea that this simple act of kindness would soon change his entire world in ways he could never imagine. For days had passed since David helped little Lily find her mother at the shopping mall. He was back to his normal routine, working from his home office, typing code on his computer. The whole experience felt like a dream now. He kept thinking about how scared Lily had been and how grateful her mother Amy looked. When they were finally reunited, David was in the middle of fixing a complicated software problem when his doorbell rang. This was strange because he rarely got visitors, especially on a Thursday afternoon. Most of his friends knew he was always busy with work during the day. He ignored it at first, thinking it might be a delivery person who would just leave the package at the door. But the doorbell rang again, followed by a gentle knock. Curious, David saved his work and walked to the front door. He looked through the small window and couldn't believe what he saw. Standing on his doorstep were Lily and her mother Amy. Lily was holding a colorful gift bag and bouncing on her toes with excitement. David opened the door, completely shocked. "Lily, Amy? How did you find my house?" Amy smiled, looking a bit embarrassed. "I hope you don't mind us showing up like this after what happened the other day. I realized I never properly thanked you." Lily hasn't stopped talking about the nice man who helped her, and she really wanted to see you again, Mr. David, Lily exclaimed, rushing forward to hug his legs. "I missed you. Mommy said we could come visit and bring you presents." David was touched but confused. "But how did you know where I live?" Amy's cheeks turned slightly red. "I have to admit, I did some detective work. I remembered you showed your ID to the security guard at the mall, so I asked them if they could help me find you. I work at the hospital downtown, and I told them I needed to properly thank the man who helped my daughter. It took some convincing, but they finally gave me your address." David invited them inside, still amazed by their visit. His apartment was small but clean, with computer equipment scattered around his home office. Lily immediately started exploring, fascinated by all the technology. "Wow, you have so many computers," Lily said, her eyes wide with wonder. "Are you like a computer superhero?" David laughed. "Something like that. I fix computer problems and build websites for people." Amy handed him the gift bag. "We brought you some homemade cookies and a thank you card that Lily made herself." Inside the bag were chocolate chip cookies that smelled amazing, and a hand-drawn card with crayon pictures of stick figures. One tall figure was labeled Mr. David and a smaller one was labeled me. Above them, Lily had written in shaky letters, "Thank you for helping me find my mommy. This is the sweetest thing anyone has ever given me," David said, genuinely moved by the gesture. "You really didn't need to do all this." "Yes, we did," Amy said firmly. "What you did was extraordinary. You spent your entire afternoon taking care of a stranger's child. That's not something you just say thank you for and walk away." As they sat in David's small living room, the conversation flowed naturally. David learned that Amy worked as a nurse at the children's hospital. She had moved to the city about 6 months ago after her divorce was finalized. It had been just her and Lily starting a new life together. "It's been tough," Amy admitted while Lily played with an old video game David had connected to his TV. "Moving to a new place, finding a job, making sure Lily adjusts to everything. Some days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. David found himself really listening to her story. Usually, he felt awkward when people shared personal information. But something about Amy made him feel comfortable. Maybe it was because he had already seen her at one of the most vulnerable moments of her life. When she thought she had lost her daughter. "You're doing an amazing job," David told her. "Lily is such a happy, smart little girl. That doesn't happen by accident." Amy's eyes got a little watery. "Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I wonder if I'm messing everything up." "Are you kidding? Look at her," David said, pointing to Lily, who was giggling as she played the simple racing game on his old gaming console. "She's confident, curious, and kind. Those are things she learned from watching you." The afternoon flew by. Amy and David talked about everything: their jobs, their childhoods, their favorite movies. David was surprised by how easy it was to talk to her. He usually struggled with small talk. But with Amy, the conversation felt natural and comfortable. Lily eventually got hungry, so David made them all sandwiches. He was amazed by how polite and well-behaved Lily was. She said please and thank you, helped clean up her crumbs, and asked before touching anything in his apartment. "She really likes you," Amy observed as Lily showed David her drawings on his tablet. "She's usually shy around new people, but she talks to you like you're an old friend." "I like her too," David said, and he meant it. There was something special about Lily's innocent curiosity and bright smile that made him feel happy in a way he hadn't experienced in years. As the sun started to set, Amy said they should probably head home. "This was really wonderful, but I don't want to take up your whole day." "You didn't take up my day," David said quickly. "You made it better. I haven't had this much fun in a long time." Before they left, Amy wrote her phone number on a piece of paper. "I know this might sound strange, but if you ever want to grab coffee or if Lily wants to see her computer superhero friend again, please call me." David took the paper, feeling something flutter in his chest. "I'd really like that." As he watched them drive away, David realized something had changed inside him for the first time in years. His quiet apartment felt a little too quiet. He found himself already looking forward to seeing them again, wondering what Lily would want to show him next time, and hoping Amy meant it when she said to call. That night, as David tried to focus on his work, he kept glancing at Amy's phone number on his desk. He had no idea that this simple visit was just the beginning of something that would completely transform his life. The next 3 weeks changed David's life in ways he never expected. What started as a simple text message from Amy thanking him again for the lovely afternoon turned into daily conversations that David found himself looking forward to more than anything else. It began innocently enough. Amy would send him pictures of Lily's drawings or ask for his advice about small technology problems at work. "My computer at the hospital is acting weird again," she texted one morning. "Do you think you could help me figure out what's wrong?" David was happy to help. He spent 20 minutes on the phone walking her through some simple fixes, and Amy was amazed when everything started working perfectly. "You're a lifesaver," she said. "I was worried I'd have to call the IT department and wait 3 days for them to show up." But soon their conversations grew beyond just technical help. Amy would ask David about his day, share funny stories about things Lily said, or send him photos of places they visited around the city. David found himself taking pictures of interesting things he saw too, just so he would have something to share with her. "Look what Lily made at school today," Amy texted one afternoon, along with a photo of a clay pot painted in bright colors. She said it's for her friend Mr. David to keep his pens in. David stared at the photo for a long time. No one had ever made him anything before. The idea that this little girl thought about him enough to create something special just for him made his heart feel warm and full. One Saturday morning, Amy called with a request that surprised him. "I know this might sound strange, but Lily has been asking if we can see you again. She wants to go to the park and have a picnic. Would you be interested in joining us?" David didn't even hesitate. "I'd love to. The park was beautiful that day." with big trees providing shade and families scattered around enjoying the sunshine. David brought a frisbee, not sure if it was appropriate, but Lily squealed with delight when she saw it. "I've never played frisbee before," she announced. "Will you teach me?" For the next hour, David patiently showed Lily how to throw and catch the frisbee. She wasn't very good at it at first, but she never got frustrated every time she missed. She would laugh and run to get it, determined to try again. Amy sat on the picnic blanket, watching them play. "She's having so much fun," she called out. I haven't seen her this excited about anything in months. David was having fun too. He couldn't remember the last time he had been to a park, let alone played games with a child. Lily's enthusiasm was contagious. When she finally managed to throw the frisbee in a perfect straight line to David, she jumped up and down with joy. "Did you see that, Mommy? I did it. I'm getting really good at this." During lunch, David learned more about Amy's life. She told him about the challenges of being a single mom, working long shifts at the hospital, and trying to give Lily a normal childhood despite all the changes they had been through. "Some days I feel like I'm failing her," Amy admitted quietly while Lily played on the nearby playground. "She asks about her father sometimes, and I don't know what to say. He wasn't ready to be a dad, and he made that very clear when he left." David felt angry at a man he had never met. How could anyone walk away from such an amazing daughter and such a caring woman? "You're not failing her," he said firmly. "Look at her. She's confident, happy, and kind." "That's because of you," Amy smiled, but David could see the sadness in her eyes. "I just want her to have good male role models in her life, you know? I want her to know that there are men who are dependable and caring." Without thinking, David said, "She has that now." The words hung in the air between them. Amy looked at him with surprise, and David felt his cheeks turn red. He hadn't meant to say something so personal, but it was true. Over the past few weeks, he had grown to care about both Amy and Lily more than he had ever cared about anyone. "David," Amy said softly, "can I ask you something personal?" He nodded, suddenly nervous. "Have you ever thought about having a family of your own? Kids, I mean." David was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, not really. I always figured I was to set in my ways, to focus on work. But lately," he looked over at Lily, who was now making friends with another little girl on the swings. "Lately, I've been thinking about it more." Amy followed his gaze. "She really adores you. Last night she asked me if you could come to her school play next month. She said she wants you to see her be a butterfly in the spring program." David's heart melted. "I would love to see that." As the afternoon went on, David realized something was changing inside him. For years, he had been content with his quiet, predictable life. He went to work, came home, watched TV, and went to bed. He had friends, but no one really close. He had never felt like anything was missing. But now, sitting in the park with Amy and Lily, he understood what he had been missing all along. He had been missing this feeling of belonging, of being needed, of having people who genuinely cared about him when it was time to leave. Lily hugged David tightly. "This was the best day ever," she said. "Can we do this again soon?" "Definitely," David promised. As they walked to their cars, Amy touched David's arm gently. "Thank you for today. And not just for entertaining Lily. Thank you for being so patient with her, for listening to me, for just being you." David felt something shift inside his chest. He was falling for this woman and her daughter, and it scared him. He had never been responsible for anyone else's happiness before. What if he wasn't good enough? What if he let them down? But as he drove home that evening, watching Amy's car in his rearview mirror until they went their separate ways, David realized that for the first time in his adult life, he wanted to try. He wanted to be the kind of man who deserved to be part of their world. That night, David couldn't concentrate on his work. He kept thinking about Lily's laugh, Amy's smile, and the way it felt to be part of something bigger than himself. He had no idea that his feelings were about to be tested in ways he never imagined. 5 weeks had passed since David first met Lily at the shopping mall, and his life had completely changed. He woke up every morning excited to see what messages Amy had sent him. Their daily conversations had become the highlight of his day, and he found himself thinking about both Amy and Lily constantly. But on this particular Tuesday morning, David received a text that made his stomach drop. "Can we meet for coffee today after I drop Lily at school?" Amy wrote. "There's something important I need to talk to you about." David stared at his phone, his mind racing. What could be so important that Amy needed to meet in person? His first thought was that maybe she wanted to stop seeing him. Maybe she had realized that their friendship was getting too complicated. Or perhaps she had met someone else. He spent the next 2 hours barely able to concentrate on his work. Every few minutes, he would check his phone, hoping for another message that might give him a clue about what Amy wanted to discuss. But there was nothing. At exactly 10:30, David arrived at the small coffee shop near Lily's school. Amy was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee in front of her. She looked nervous, playing with her hair the way she did when she was worried about something. "Thank you for coming," Amy said as David sat down across from her. "I hope I didn't scare you with my message this morning." "A little bit," David admitted honestly. "Is everything okay? Is Lily all right?" Amy smiled softly. "Lily is fine. She's actually the reason I wanted to talk to you." She took a deep breath, as if she was preparing herself for something difficult. "David, I need to tell you something, and I hope you won't think I'm crazy." David felt his heart beating faster. "What is it?" Amy looked down at her coffee cup, then back up at David. "I've been thinking a lot lately about my life, about Lily's life, and about you. When I got divorced last year, I promised myself I wouldn't get involved with anyone for a long time. I wanted to focus on being a good mother and building a stable life for Lily." She paused, and David waited, not sure where this conversation was going. "But then you came into our lives," Amy continued, her voice getting softer. "At first, I was just grateful for what you did that day at the mall. But as we've gotten to know each other, I've realized that my feelings have grown into something much deeper." David felt like his heart might jump out of his chest. Was Amy saying what he thought she was saying? Amy's eyes filled with tears, but she kept talking. "I've fallen in love with you, David. And I know that might sound crazy because we've only known each other for 5 weeks. But I can't deny how I feel anymore." David stared at her, completely speechless. He had hoped that Amy might have feelings for him too, but hearing her say it out loud was overwhelming. "And it's not just me," Amy continued, wiping a tear from her cheek. "Lily talks about you constantly. She draws pictures of the 3 of us together. She asks me every day when she's going to see you again. She's never bonded with anyone the way she's bonded with you." David finally found his voice. "Amy, but she held up her hand, indicating that she wasn't finished. "I know this is a lot to put on you. I know that dating a single mother is complicated, and I know you never asked for any of this. But I had to be honest with you about how we both feel." Amy took another shaky breath. "My ex-husband left because he said he wasn't ready for the responsibility of being a father. He said that having a family was too much pressure, too much work. I understand if you feel the same way, but I couldn't keep pretending that we're just friends when my heart is telling me something completely different." David reached across the table and took Amy's hand. It was trembling slightly, and he could see how much courage it had taken for her to say all of this. "Amy," David said gently, "can I tell you something?" She nodded, looking at him with hopeful but scared eyes. "I've been falling in love with you too, and with Lily. These past few weeks have been the happiest of my entire life. But I'm terrified." Amy squeezed his hand. "Terrified of what?" David looked down at their joined hands. "I'm terrified that I won't be good enough for you and Lily. I've never been in a serious relationship before. I've never been around kids. What if I mess this up? What if I let you both down?" Amy's face softened with understanding. "David, do you remember what you told me at the park? You said that Lily was confident and happy because of me. Well, I want you to know something. In the past 5 weeks, I've watched you with my daughter, and I've seen something amazing." She leaned forward, her voice full of emotion. I've seen the way you listen to her stories, even when they don't make sense. I've seen how patient you are when she asks you the same question 5 times. I've seen how proud you look when she shows you something she's learned. You're already being the kind of father figure she needs. David felt tears forming in his own eyes. But what if I'm not ready for all of this? What if the responsibility is too much? Amy was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I can't promise you that it will be easy. Being part of a family is hard work. There will be days when Lily is cranky, days when I'm stressed from work, days when everything feels overwhelming. But, David, love isn't about being ready. It's about being willing to try. David thought about everything Amy had said. He thought about how empty his life had felt before he met them, and how full it felt now. He thought about Lily's bright smile, and the way she hugged him like he was the most important person in the world. He thought about Amy's kindness, her strength, and the way she made him want to be a better man. I need some time to think about all of this, David said finally. Not because I don't care about you both, but because I want to be absolutely sure. Then I can give you and Lily everything you deserve. Amy nodded, tears still in her eyes. I understand. Take all the time you need. But David, please don't just disappear from our lives while you're thinking. Lily would be heartbroken, and honestly, so would I. David squeezed her hand tighter. I promise I won't disappear. You and Lily mean too much to me for that. As they left the coffee shop, Amy gave David a hug that lasted longer than usual. Whatever you decide, she whispered, I want you to know that meeting you was the best thing that's happened to us in a very long time. David drove home with his mind spinning. Amy's words kept echoing in his head. She loved him. She wanted him to be part of their family. The thought filled him with both joy and terror. That night, David couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what it would mean to become not just Amy's boyfriend, but Lily's father figure. It was a huge responsibility, but for the first time in his life, it was a responsibility he actually wanted. 2 weeks had passed since Amy's heartfelt confession at the coffee shop, and David had done a lot of thinking. He had called his older brother Tom, who lived across the country with his wife and 2 kids. He had even called his parents, something he rarely did unless it was a holiday. Mom, David had said during one of their long phone conversations. What's it like to know you're ready to be a parent? His mother had laughed softly. Honey, nobody is ever really ready. Your father and I were terrified when we had you. But love makes you brave. It makes you want to try your best, even when you don't know what you're doing. David had also spent time thinking about his own childhood. His parents had been loving and supportive, always there for him and his brother. He remembered his father, teaching him how to ride a bike, how to throw a baseball, how to change a tire. He remembered his mother helping him with homework, managing scraped knees, and always believing in him even when he didn't believe in himself. Could he be that kind of person for Lily? Could he be the steady, caring presence that she needed? During those 2 weeks, David had continued texting with Amy and spending time with both of them. But there was an unspoken tension in the air. Amy was patient and never pressured him, but he could see the hope and worry in her eyes every time they were together. Lily seemed to sense that something was different too, asking more than once if Mr. David was okay. Finally, David knew what he had to do. On a Saturday morning, he called Amy and asked if they could meet at the same park where they had shared their first official day together as friends. Of course, Amy said, though David could hear the nervousness in her voice. Should I bring Lily? Yes, David said. Definitely bring Lily. When David arrived at the park, he saw Amy and Lily sitting on their usual picnic blanket under the big oak tree. Lily was coloring in a book while Amy watched other families playing nearby. David's heart raced as he walked toward them, carrying a small bag with him. Mr. David. Lily jumped up and ran to hug him. I miss you. Mommy said you had important things to think about. Did you finish thinking? David knelt down to Lily's level and smiled. Yes, sweetheart, I finished thinking, and I brought you both something special. Amy stood up slowly, her eyes searching David's face for any clue about what he was going to say. David reached into his bag and pulled out the small wrapped boxes, Lily, David said. Handing her the smaller box. This is for you. Lily tore off the wrapping paper with excitement. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm shaped like a butterfly. It's beautiful. She gasped. Is it really mine? It's really yours, David said. The butterfly is to remind you that you're growing into something amazing, just like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, and I want to be there to watch you grow. If that's okay with you, Lily threw her arms around David's neck. I want you to stay forever and ever. David's eyes filled with tears as he held the little girl who had changed his life. Then he stood up and faced Amy, who was watching with tears streaming down her cheeks. Amy, David said, his voice shaking slightly, these past 2 weeks have been the longest of my life. Not because I was scared of you and Lily, but because I was scared of how much I love you both. Amy put her hand over her mouth. Crying harder now, David continued, I kept thinking about all the ways I might mess this up, all the things I don't know about being in a relationship or being a father figure. But then I realized something important. The day I helped Lily at the mall, I wasn't ready for that either. I had no idea what to do with a scared little girl, but I did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. He handed Amy the second box. I want to do this too, because it's the right thing to do, not just for you, but for me. You and Lily have made me happier than I ever thought possible. Amy opened the box with trembling fingers. Inside was a simple gold necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. David, she whispered. It's not an engagement ring, David said quickly, seeing the surprise on her face. I know we need to take things one step at a time, but it's a promise. Promise that I want to be part of your family. A promise that I'm ready to learn how to be the best partner and father figure I can be. Amy launched herself into David's arms, and he held her tight while she cried happy tears into his shoulder. Lily danced around them, clapping her hands and singing, Mr. David is staying. Mr. David is staying. When Amy finally pulled back, she looked into David's eyes. Are you sure about this? Really sure? David nodded. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I love you, Amy, and I love Lily. I want to build a life with both of you. What does that mean exactly? Amy asked, wiping her tears. David smiled. It means I want to spend every weekend with you both. It means I want to come to Lily's school play and cheer the loudest when she's on stage. It means I want to help with homework and bedtime stories. It means I want to take family vacations and have family dinners and maybe even get a dog someday. Lily's eyes went wide. A dog? Really? David laughed. Well, that's something we'll all have to talk about together. As they sat on the blanket, sharing the lunch Amy had packed, David felt a peace he had never experienced before. This was what family felt like. This was what love felt like. It wasn't perfect, and he knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them together. So what happens now? Amy asked as they watched Lily chase butterflies in the meadow nearby. Now we take it one day at a time, David said. I'm thinking about finding an apartment closer to you and Lily's school. I want to be more involved in your daily lives, and maybe in a year or two, if everything goes well, we can talk about making things even more official. Amy smiled, the kind of smile that lit up her whole face. I think Lily would like that very much, and so would I. 6 months later, David had moved to an apartment just 10 minutes away from Amy and Lily's house. He had dinner with them 3 times a week and spent every weekend as a family. He had attended Lily's spring play, where she was indeed a beautiful butterfly, and he had cheered so loudly that she giggled on stage. They had also gotten that dog they talked about, a golden retriever puppy named Sunny that Lily adored. David had never imagined himself as a dog owner, but watching Lily's joy as she played with Sunny made every early morning walk worth it. As David tucked Lily into bed one night, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes and said, Mr. David, I'm really glad you helped me find my mommy that day. Me too. Sweetheart, David said, kissing her forehead. Me too. Walking back to the living room where Amy was waiting for him, David reflected on how one simple act of kindness had completely changed his world. He had thought he was just helping a lost little girl find her mother, but what he had really done was find his own family, and that made all the difference.